Over the Edge, the new Batman Adventures, Season 1, Episode 11. Once again, Episode 11, Twin Pillars. During a fight with the Scarecrow, Batgirl is ambushed on a rooftop and falls to her death. Jim Gordon blames Batman for her fate and vows revenge. Jim Gordon blames Batman for her fate and vows revenge. So eerie, yet necessary in regards to the overall context of this video. Show the new Batman Adventures, season number, just one season. It's a reason why it was only one season, because it was used as a form of predictive programming for something that we're going to get into in regards to this video. And this was on the 11th episode. But the date, May 23rd, 1998. Why am I emphasizing the date? We're going to get into it. Let's get into it. Owen Hart. Date of death, May 23rd, 1999. Hart died on May 23rd, 1999. May 23rd, 1999. A year later from when they aired that season of Batman, or that episode for the Adventures of Batman. And that episode called Over the Edge. This happened in 1999, the year of 666, the number 1 being a placeholder in regards to the numerological aspect, esoterically. May 23rd represents the number 10 for completion, 5, 2, 3. 5 plus 2 is 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 represents death as well as completion. This happens a year later following that episode. That episode was a form of predictive programming. The Blue Blazer, pretty much the antithesis of Batman when it comes to the overall understanding esoterically. Vince McMahon playing the role of Batman. The girl playing the role of Owen Hart. And Jim playing the role of Owen Hart's wife in regards to the reality of what took place when it comes to the predictive programming aspect. Because Owen Hart's wife wanted retribution for the death of her husband in regards to what took place, the foul play. Because it was foul play, but it was necessary. It was a sacrifice. It happened at an event called Over the Edge. You can't make this shit up. When I was young, I didn't put 2 and 2 together, obviously, because I was about like 8 years old or 7 years old. But the man died a year after they aired that episode of Batman Over the Edge, where the girl dies from the rooftop. And in this event, this pay-per-view called Over the Edge, Owen Hart falls from the rafters and dies from blunt trauma. And then you have the aftermath of, the wife wanting retribution, the understanding of him wanting to leave and become a teacher or just continue on in teaching. He wanted to win the title. He was booked to win the title. Similar to Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit, where they were booked to win the title before their deaths. It's eerie when it comes to these revelatory aspects of these things. I'm coming across these things because I'm a huge old wrestling fan, not the new shit. I love the old vintage WWF, WCW, like the old wrestling. So I just, I would go back to the old wrestling, look at certain documentaries, look at the aspect where, I wasn't privy to it because I was a child. And, for the most part, it was kind of like make-believe to me. Or more so, I believed it. Like, that's the wrong word. And I mean to say, I believe the aspect of the acting and the storylines and whatnot, but as I got older, I started to see that it was just, it was acting, but you still appreciate it because, understand that the entertainment aspect is what you're watching it for anyway. And then you have a respect for them because you understand that even though it's acting, they do put their bodies on the line and whatnot. It is work that goes into it. But aside from that, these things are eerily similar when it comes to this and, the Batman series that was used as a form of predictive programming. That's why it was only one season and only 11 episodes. 11. We know about that number 11, right? The Blue Blazer. Come on, man. He fell to his death and he turned blue. The Over the Edge pay-per-view. Now, there's stories about how Stone Cold, him being a rising star, he pretty much was a part of the sacrifice. That's why in the following episode, you see Stone Cold pay tribute to Owen Hart, where he leaves the bear in the ring. It was said that Stone Cold, he never attended the funeral because they didn't get along. And being that Bret Hart went to, WCW, it was a thing of, hey, well, you know what? Owen Hart, he's going to be loyal to the company. But Vince McMahon still had this, he still had this ire towards Owen Hart, maybe because of his brother, as well as the fact that Owen Hart wasn't someone who was into, the gimmicks and the extraness of the WWF around that time, because WWF was really extra, really flamboyant, really raunchy around like 1998, 1999, around that Attitude Era, time. Owen Hart wasn't too fond of it. Owen Hart, he really just appreciated the wrestling aspect, the technicality aspect. And mind you, it's these technical wrestlers like a Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, these guys who really understand the arts of wrestling, like Kurt Angle. Well, he hasn't passed away, but I'm just saying, like, those guys. Owen Hart was one of those. He wanted to just be a technical wrestler. He appreciated the art. And of course, you're going to go along with certain storylines, but he wasn't with the extraness of the WWF when it comes to, how they would just pretty much turn it into a raunchy product. He wasn't really with that. And I believe that had something to do with the foul play, because Vince McMahon, he's a big time skull and bones Mason. Everything I'm saying is alleged. Shout out to Chronicles of Judah, because it's important to say allegedly, because I see why some of my videos, they get taken down. I got to be more responsible when it comes to what I say. But again, you put two and two together, it's easy to come to this conclusion, but you still want to be responsible in saying allegedly. But Owen Hart was someone who was sacrificed. That's what he was. He was a sacrifice. And he was sacrificed because of the aspect in which, you have these numerological elements add up esoterically, as well as the business side of things, where pretty much, Owen Hart was contrary to certain things that, Vince McMahon wanted him to be a part of, as well as Vince having an issue with the Hart Foundation, Owen Hart, and, that name, the Harts, like the family of Owen Hart. Bret Hart, Owen Hart, like he had an issue with them. And I believe that aided into this, sacrifice. But just looking at the numerological element, you can't deny it. You can't deny the predictive programming element. And once again, going back to the Stone Cold thing, Stone Cold would get his neck broken. And I believe that has something to do with it, because that pretty much had him sidelined. And Stone Cold was one of their top guys. So it's just, it's just funny how these things played out in regards to these events that led up to the death of Mr. Owen Hart. Like, he was always good with the rafters in terms of, him using a harness and it being a successful drop. But, coincidentally, at the pay-per-view event known as Over the Edge, he falls over the edge. How coincidental. The blue blazer, right? It's like that light side, like that duality aspect, like the yin to the yang of Batman. The quote unquote dark blazer, the Dark Knight. This happening, following like literally the year after the episode that aired on May 23rd, 1998, Over the Edge. You cannot make this stuff up. Vince McMahon sacrificed that man. Also, Vince McMahon, he continued the show on. He continued to have the show going. And I believe that, that to be because Vince McMahon didn't really care about Owen Hart. I don't think he really was fond of Owen Hart, and not just because of himself, Owen Hart, but because, he was related to Bret Hart, and, they had their differences. And that's just a surface level. I really think that this more hits on an esoteric level. It's just too stark. It's too many, pieces to the puzzle. You know what I mean? It's just crazy how these things, they add up, especially in hindsight when you go back to these events. And I'm going to be doing more videos about old events where, you thought that it was just genuine and regular. And then you come to find out that it was all esoteric and was based in the dark side of the world when it comes to the innuendos or the undertone of the world. Not the innuendo, but more so the undertone of the world in regards to, that sacrifice element or the pagan element or the esoteric Luciferian element. Obviously when I was 9 years old or 7 years old or what have you, I believe I was 7 years old, around 1999. When I was 7 years old, I didn't know what I know now. So it's one of those things where, You know, you just go back and you look at these stories that took place, and it's like, wow. Even with Columbine, we already understand that that was esoteric, that was Luciferian in its nature, in its core nature, all these events. And this happened in the year 1999, the year for 666. Just like 1969 was also the year for 666, where certain things took place that was, you know, out of the norm, and, you know, wild events, certain things that took place. So it's just crazy, but just wanted to continue on in regards to other revelatory aspects of this case here.
Stone Cold Steve Austin will be reinstated as of November 9 at the Survivor Series. And all you have to do, Mr. Austin, is sign on the dotted line. I like the way you make this look so damn easy. What you got to do is sign first, because I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, and that's the bottom line.
Steve's number one, it says. But you can barely read his X.
Looks like we got a deal.
No, we don't have a deal. Not until you sign. As soon as you sign this, November 9th Survivor Series, you get Owen Hart. But you don't sign this, you don't get it.
So Stone Cold would eventually sign a contract which would pretty much sanction the match between Owen Hart and Stone Cold at Survivor, keyword Survivor Series, where Stone Cold broke his neck because of a botched power driver from Owen Hart. And that pretty much was another reason as to why, you know, that stirred the pot when it comes to the angle for Owen Hart's death. Obviously, it's esoteric in nature, but that had a lot to do with it as well when it comes to Stone Cold being put out. So I think that was 1997. And mind you, when you look at this image here of this poster for Over the Edge, you see the Undertaker representing the dead man, representing that dark aspect, representing Cain, biblically Cain, representing just the evil, dark aspect. The Undertaker left eye showing, highlighting, signifying that this was going to be an event where someone was going to be sacrificed. The left eye represents sacrifice to the mother goddess known as Hathor, the quote-unquote mother goddess, the pagan false goddess, right? So that's an aspect there. We understand that the element of black represents death. That's why the Undertaker wears all black. And this is correlated with what took place a week before Over the Edge. A week before Over the Edge, Stone Cold was going against the Undertaker, where the Undertaker descended from the rafters. Undertaker descended from the rafters in his little, you know, bat-like costume thing. And it's funny because that was used as a form of predictive programming. That was pretty much an allusion to the Batman, the episode Over the Edge. That was an allusion to that. So you have the Undertaker flying from the rafters in this little winged crucifix-like symbolic suit thing, and Stone Cold, you know, he handcuffs him to the crucifix symbolic thing, whatever Undertaker came from the rafters on. He handcuffed him on it, and the Undertaker ascended. He ascended, and it was kind of like an allusion to Christ, like a crucifixion, like someone was going to be sacrificed at this event that would come up, known as Over the Edge. Mind you, the man had on a bat-like suit. A bat-like suit. Undertaker was never associated with a bat. I mean, he had a bird at one time, but he never was associated with a bat. Why was he associated with the bat? Because of the Batman episode. It's so crazy, man. And this is me just realizing this in real time right now. The Undertaker was used as an allusion to the Batman. That's why he was used. He was used as an allusion to that episode, Over the Edge, the Batman episode. Stone Cold handcuffs him on the wing crucifix-like harness thing, and he ascends. You can't make this shit up. Now, when I was young, obviously I didn't put none of this shit together. But it's crazy, man. You cannot make this shit up. That's what that definitely was used as. That was used as symbology. It was a symbol for what would take place at the Over the Edge pay-per-view for Owen Hart. And this is why the Undertaker is on the poster. The Undertaker represents Owen Hart. Owen Hart's death. Not Undertaker himself, but Undertaker being on this poster representing Owen Hart's death, because the Undertaker was used as an allusion to the Batman episode. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, he would get his neck broken at Survivor Series in a botched pile driver, which would precipitate in, foul play with Vince Russo and Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon being a heavy Luciferian, allegedly. But this is just crazy how you see the correlative aspect. The correlative aspect is very, very stark with this case. Just going back to it. Because I was about like 8 years old or something. I probably was like 6 or something. Because I was born in 92. This was 99. Right? So I had to be like 7, something like that. So yeah, man, this is just crazy. And the reason why I'm saying it's crazy because how stark the correlative aspect is. It's never been so stark when it comes to the correlative aspect. That 1998 episode of Over the Edge, in which it was only one season with 11 episodes. And the episode of Over the Edge was May 23rd, 1998. Come on, man. Come on.